the Dukascopy TV studio in Geneva. We're talking about the potential of agriculture and solar loans with George Petty from Venture South. George, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
So, what actually are agricultural and solar loans about? What are the financial returns and social benefits?
So the agricultural loans, is, as the name suggests, is financing for agricultural loan products. And this is often typically a difficult niche to lend to. You're dealing with, in many cases, many small farmers. And how do you reach them? Do they have a reliable market? What sort of training do they require? And so the conversations we've been having with a few different groups are relating to other organizations who are providing a guaranteed market for the farmers. They're providing technical assistance to the farmers, and then you also have other local organizations which are providing support to the farmers groups. In terms of the solar loans, we've been approached by several solar providers who are looking for financing for their clients, and the real bottleneck is that financing so that their clients can be borrowing from them. We're seeing this in East Africa, we're seeing it in South America, and to a less extent also in the Philippines. In terms of the returns for our investors, that's really can depend on the amounts and the duration. On the lower end, we're looking at 3%. On the higher end, it can be 8%. So the demand for the solar loans can really be quite high, particularly in Africa. It's really taking off. And there will be huge demand for it. We're seeing projections of, the 10 and 20 and $30 million of sales annually, and that will require financing for all of that.
You just mentioned there is a bottleneck, there is large demand for these kind of loans, but there are not so many intermediaries who are offering that. Now Venture South also offers such kinds of loans. Actually, can you tell a little bit more about what you're offering in the solar and the also agricultural sector?
Sure, and so as I said, we've been approached by a few different organizations, solar distributors, who've come to us because they found a lack of financing in the market for their clients. And that's, they've actually had to be lending from their own balance sheet, and so it's tying up their own capital. Funds that they should be using for their own expansion, increasing their stock, they've had to be using to sell to their client base. And so what we're looking at doing is establishing arrangements with them, pretty similar to the way in Europe and North America people are purchasing their automobiles. If you need to buy a car, you'll go to your garage, and there the person at the garage will have a relationship with a bank, and your financing will be all sort of as a package relationship when you're buying your car. In a similar way, if you wanted your solar panels and you have which bells and whistles you'd like with it, or if you want additional lighting or an additional panel, all these are things that you're going to talk with your solar expert for. But the financing will be behind that and arranged with that. And so that's the arrangement we have with these solar distributors. Their loans are guaranteed by the solar panels themselves. Technically, it's really working as a leasing arrangement. And these are deals that take some time to put together. They can take 3, 6, even 9 months to put together to make sure that the legal contracts are in order, to show that you can really scale it up, that the guarantees are working the way they should be working, piloting them a little bit. And then once you have them in place, you can really scale them up quite quickly. And then you have similar things also for agriculture, really working in a similar way. You're working with the other actors who are providing, from my point of view, providing you the market, and providing that important intervention so that you can have access to the 500, 800, 2,000 farmers who require that financing, and that most importantly that they have a reliable market and that they have the technical assistance they need to be able to grow their crops and to have a successful operations.
And actually, how much money can be invested in these kinds of projects, actually, and also what is the default risk?
The default risk varies on what the activity is. The solar loans have been actually extremely successful. The default has been very, very low, less than 1%. These loans are backed up by the solar panels themselves, so the risk there is quite manageable. The agricultural loans, as always, is a little bit higher risk, and it depends at what point in the value chain you're coming in for the agricultural loans. So if you're taking the risk of pre-harvest, so you're financing for the seeds and for the the fertilizers, that's going to be a higher risk, and you're going to need to be able to protect yourself with insurance, and you also want to be sure that there's a guaranteed market. If you're looking at post-harvest financing, usually the risks that you're looking at are storage capacity, where the crop will be stored, and if those are really secured against theft and whatnot. So those are the higher risks there with that.
Mm-hmm. So we also brought some pictures from your project. So we see here an enterprise that is benefiting through these loans. Can you explain it a little bit more?
Yes, I was just visiting this farmer here about a month ago, and they're producing sugarcane. They produce in Colombia something called panela, and it's something they mix in with warm water and serve children, and it's quite commonly known in there. But what's interesting about it is that they're off in the countryside somewhere, and they've built this factory through a loan of ours. They're now employing 20 people. And they're, just as importantly, they're creating a market for the sugarcane farmers in their whole region. And so I think their sales now are over $300,000, and that's going to be going to $500,000 and to $1 million, and be growing from there. They have potential clients actually all around the world. I was surprised to see that they have sales forecasts in Malaysia and just beyond just the region they're working in.
We have another picture as well. What do we see here?
Yes, here's a rose farmer. He was very busy. I just saw him after Valentine's Day. He sold, I think, over 500,000 flowers for Valentine's Day. They had, of course, big projections for that, but we had financed the greenhouses for them. And then the rose plants them well. This man is actually, I've met him a couple times now. He's been a client of ours for several years, and he started off with, I think, 2 hectares, and now he's up to 6 hectares. And we've essentially financed his growth during that whole time, and he's more than tripled in business.
Mm-hmm. So there is still possibilities to invest in these kind of projects, you think?
There's continuously need for financing for these sorts of business, and it's a growing need. And as we get these additional products, so the solar and the agriculture, and I've got other things that we're working on as well, there's continuously financing for that, both on an ongoing basis and a sort of a structured basis, more in an individual bond-related basis. Yeah.
George Petty from Venture South, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for watching. Do make sure to keep clicking back on the Dukascopy TV website for latest updates and exclusive interviews. Have a great day and see you next time.